This is the Blackout Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people that do amazing things. And today I have Boma Naji, and he's an artist that's responsible for this. Thank you so much for coming in.
Right, thank you for having me.
Okay, fine. Before we go, he didn't start like this, right?
No, not at
So
all.
let's go way back in the past now. How did you start? What was the introduction to painting, drawing for you?
Well, I think it started off with comic books. I used to draw a lot from comic books as a kid, and I'll just go on and just create my own superheroes, my own characters, and I think that was how it all started. Then over the years, I got really fascinated with graffiti during the hip hop era, and then my art evolved from that, and then it ended up here.
It's like organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I'll come to this guy. So you started drawing comics. Which comics stood out for you?
I really liked Superman.
What the?
So strangely enough, he's a very flat, simple superhero.
He's square.
Yeah, exactly. But
even the drawing of Superman itself is boring. But let's say, what did you like about Superman?
I think the colors and the fact that he had
it's super bright.
Yeah, super bright, and then the alter ego. The fact that he's this all super powerful guy, and he has this alter ego who's Clark Kent. That's real cool, and you can't even tell he's Superman. It's just amazing. And then he hides behind his glasses.
I never understood that.
Yeah.
So if he just removes his glasses, he's like, if he puts in his glasses and people can't tell.
Can't tell. I mean, it's pretty dumb. Now that I'm grown up, it's pretty dumb. But the part where I think it's also pretty smart because not too many people have really seen Superman close up, so they can't tell if he's Clark Kent all the same.
Okay.
Half the time he's just a blur flying right past you.
Yeah.
So makes sense.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I'm partial to Batman because he's interesting, right? I mean, Superman can't die. I guess he can die.
He died sometime and he came back again.
I mean, he can do everything. I remember one of the Superman movies, not the last, not the current set of DC ones, but I think he's a Superman or just anyway. I can't remember the title, but they shot him right in the eye.
And he bounced back.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing here?
That was the Brandon Routh one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I can't remember the title. But yeah,
he's the Man of Steel, right?
Anyway, so did you draw your own version of Superman?
Yes, I think if I remember correctly, that was one of the first superheroes I really started drawing. I started drawing his hair, the hairline, and then the muscles and everything. That was my first introduction to drawing superhero characters, and then from there I started creating my own superheroes, my own characters, my own stories.
Let's start with that. Do you remember the very first character you created? Okay,
I remember. I think it was called Solar Man.
Oh, so it's energies from the sun.
From the sun, yes, it was from the sun. Yeah.
So it's basically Superman.
Maybe, because Superman has
it's from the sun also.
Yes, but Solar Man was just powered he was like a huge battery powered by the sun. Superman, sort of regenerates, because whenever he's exposed to the sun, but it's not like his primary source of power. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And so when did you start giving your characters their stories?
Yes, I from there, and I just started creating characters and their stories and giving them secret identities too and their daily lives.
Wow.
And it was just what I really enjoyed. I always had this dream to be like a comic artists when I grow up.
Yeah, you should totally come out. Like, I have this. Anyway, we'll talk.
Yeah, sure.
So you created Solo Man. Which are some other characters you created?
Well, I created some characters that were like Judge Dredd from 2000 AD.
You know what?
Yeah?
I don't know if you've seen Dread. I think it's just called Dread.
Dredd, the movie. Yeah.
Like, where he goes into the building.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best films I've seen in a very long time. It's like, it's so good, that film.
Yes, it is, but I really wanted to see more.
What did you want them to do?
I was really into Judge Dredd growing up, so I really wanted to see more of the sci-fi city, you know, the futuristic cityscape. And yes, I could see they were on a tight budget, so but that was the closest they got to Judge Dredd compared to the Sylvester Stallone one.
Oh God,
that one. I mean, how could Judge Dredd take off his mask and just be walking around? Judge Dredd never did take off his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, he's well, it's Stallone, so
he had to show his face.
Yeah,
I really. Also, I'm kind of partial because I was in Cape Town when that movie was being shot, right?
Okay.
Like that Dread.
Okay, it was shot in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I was like, ugh. I mean, I wasn't like walking on it, but it was kind of, you could see. So Cape Town, I'm just jumping off track here, but Cape Town is a beautiful city. But there's a road in Cape Town that, for some reason, they just didn't finish it.
Okay.
Like, so it's just this highway that just hangs.
Really?
And like, so most films, like, I don't know if you've seen Speed.
Yes.
So you remember when the bus jumps off?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that. So this highway just stays there. So whenever, like, it's like this stretch of road that is not used because it is never completed. So when people come to Cape Town, 86% of the time there's a car chase scene and you're gonna shoot it on that thing.
No?
Yeah. So like, if you remember when he was going there with his partner, like there was a shootout with the bus.
With the
people.
bus.
That's that place.
But I mean that bus scene. How could he have used a combi van for Judge Dredd? This is the future, for God's sake.
Anyway, okay, so Judge Dredd, let's continue.
Yeah, so I went on from characters like Judge Dredd. I can't remember their names right now, but futuristic characters in armor like Judge Dredd. I had started growing away from Superman quite a bit, and then we had started getting into the hip hop era where it was much more of the hip hop music and the lifestyle and that kind of thing. So I was influenced a lot by that and comics at the same time. So my characters began to evolve to more characters that would look more like Judge Dredd with chains, but more futuristic. Yeah.
Oh. And then, so do you study that, like, art at all?
No, I never went to school to study art, but I studied architecture.
Okay.
But I've drawn for as long as I can remember. Like I've seen photos of me when I was like 2 drawing from a picture book, and I'm really shocked. And so, but I took a few art courses while I was studying undergraduate architecture, some still life art courses, and then I've done a lot of self-improvement, learning how to draw on oil. I first started off drawing in oil on canvas, and then evolved to
that's
acrylic.
hard.
Yes, it's not actually
Because for you, oh my God, for you, it's not hard.
Because oil has this flow, it's smooth, it just flows. The only challenge is the drying time. It takes a lot more time to dry, and when you want to get stuff out there, it's a lot easier to use acrylic, which is fast drying. I really look forward to the day I could go back to oils and painting oils like the masters did.
Oh my God! I was the other day. I don't know if you've seen this, but like all these people that study art and stuff, they took this old painting and then they scraped it and then they found the original painting behind it. Yes. And it was like a goat with a funny eye.
Oh, really? Really? I hear there are lots of paintings that have like several layers. I think artists do it a lot. You start off a painting and you change your mind, or you get inspired by something new, or you're just too broke to buy a new canvas and stuff. So you just recycle and reuse,
Okay. So do you remember when you moved from paper to canvas?
I think it was about the time I was in university. I
And you're
went.
doing but like architecture is not some like
Yes,
like
but
it's not easy. I mean, so how did you have time for the arts when you were doing something so
well,
intense?
it's art is just something I'm really passionate about. So I always find the time. I just can't leave without doing art, without painting. So after hours, I'll just find some new subject to paint or to draw. And then during my years in architecture school, I would always go to the art department.
Oh wow.
I had lots of friends in the art department, and just hang out with them, and just because they
They're
were
like,
like
what is this
super
architecture
cool.
guy look? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
They
yeah.
have the coolest parties.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I agree. Arts people can
Yeah.
party. Oh my god. So then, but like do you find? I mean, I guess in a way you use your like talents and art for your actual day-to-day job as an architect, right?
Yes, because I currently work in an interior design firm, um, as an architectural tech, and
What is that like? What does that involve?
designing spaces for people, for real actual spaces where people live. And so what we do is, we take finished architectural drawings and remodel the spaces for real life use, because at the end of the day, the architect is more responsible for the look and the feel, the external look and feel of a building. Most times the architect isn't really into interior design spaces, so our job is to design how the people interact with the interior space.
Isn't that difficult?
It is, but is it,
Yeah.
it is, but it's interesting
So
because
I guess in my head, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is it like you do you have to physically go in the space, or do they have like a computer model of the space, or how does that work?
well, half and half. It depends. It depends. Sometimes we have drawings, architectural drawings, existing architectural drawings, but sometimes, especially when we're renovating, we have to go to physically take measurements of the space and fill the space. And there are quite a number of times that I've seen, very old buildings that don't even have architectural plans, existing architectural plans. Like in one of the projects I did in Lunenburg, it's one of those very, very old buildings that, there were virtually no plans. So yeah.
So in that case, do you have to kind of draw the plan?
Yes. So we measure the spaces and really feel the internal space and relate to the space before going ahead to.
So you use a lot of tech in your work,
Oh
right?
yes, a lot of tech.
What are some of the like I guess software you use?
I currently use Revit. Revit is an Autodesk software, and then I use AutoCAD. I use Lumion, and then I use SketchUp. They're all different design tools. Revit is the real cool one. It's the most recent.
Is it the
one.
expensive one?
It is expensive too. It's the beauty of Revit is the fact that as you're drawing in 2 dimension, it's giving you with as long as you put in all the parameters, it's setting up your 3D drawing at the same time.
Wait, does it like do it real time or
Real time.
Oh wow!
Real time. So it's not like other softwares I use. Like I use SketchUp. SketchUp, you'd build your floor plans in AutoCAD, and then you export it to SketchUp, and then you start creating the 3D model. But with Revit, you're designing your floor plans, and you're getting the 3D model at the same time, which is
Magic.
which is every architect's dream,
It's
every
magic.
designer's dream. Yes.
Wow. Okay, that sounds cool.
And then Lumion is a high end software. Is very expensive too. It's for rendering, so it gives the realistic feel to your 3D.
How long does
3D
it
model.
take to render?
It all depends on your hardware. If you've got one of those super heavy computers, it renders faster. But I remember doing a rendering that lasted 3 days, even with one of those high end ones.
What do you do in that situation if it dies? Like if it,
Well, I learned a few tricks because I started off rendering one of those and it failed a couple of times. So an IT guy told me, you have to leave something running on the computer so that it doesn't shut down on itself. Like, you have to keep music playing in the background or something. So it stays running.
So like with film, if I don't really work with heavy files, but my own trick is, it's not even a trick. You can set it to go off. I just said do not go off. But the thing is, like, the computer is crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? Anyway, so how, like, do you use these tools every day at work?
Yes, I use them. I use them every day at work. I'm really getting into the Revit thing because I started off using AutoCAD, so I use Revit every day now so that.
But it's Autodesk that still own it. So it's one company that owns all these things you use.
Except for SketchUp and Lumion. Autodesk bought the right for Revit. I think it was originally some other company.
Yeah, like Disney. If they like you, they just buy you.
Well, they buy out their competition. It's a smart thing to do. Because everyone's going away from the older software, so you have to stay updated.
So, like, I mean, with film people, we love Mac. It's like, is Mac used by architects or it's mostly Windows?
Well, I'm not a Mac person, but I know there are lots of guys who use Mac. But it's either way. You could use whichever software.
And then talking about comics, what do you think of like Marvel and what they've done?
I think what they've done is fantastic. I really hate them for taking off all the shine from DC, but I really, really was hoping DC would have made something out of Justice League. I'm still really behind the whole push to have the director's cut for Justice. That's the Zack Snyder's cut.
Everyone's gonna take that. But
for
personally,
real?
I don't know. I'm kidding. I think it is. But like, my, you know what? I think I'm one of the few people on earth that actually enjoys Batman vs Superman. I think it's a really good film. I mean, apart from the bad guy at the end, it's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, but the Batman vs Superman, I saw the extended cut.
Oh, okay.
And it's a good movie.
But they could have found any reason other than Superman crying Martha. Like,
if you watch the extended cut,
okay,
it explains everything.
So
they cut out so much that made the story seem rushed.
Because it's like, okay, so it just like I'm beating this person. The person calls my mother's name. I'm like, okay, we are friends now.
Yeah. There was a lot of build up to that. There was all this Clark Kent going to Gotham City to investigate the Batman, which was cut out of the original.
Yeah.
There was just a whole lot.
Like, did it? So just for time or what?
Yes, they I think they were trying to follow the Marvel model.
Yeah.
Fast-paced movies.
But I'm kind of happy for Harley Quinn because, like, so they actually she has her own comic now, and like it's kind of based on the Harley Quinn in the current film, kind of.
Okay.
It's really good, and for some reason, I think her film, like, and the Birds of Prey or whatever. Birds of Prey and the Fantastic something. Anyway, I think that one will be good. I think.
And
I think Wonder Woman 84?
84. Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
It looks good. It looks good. I don't know what it is with DC. They just need to overhaul. Maybe they should just reboot.
Okay, so let's go back to Marvel. You said that you like what they're doing. And
yes.
Why?
I mean, they've made comics mainstream. Everybody knows the characters now because they executed the stories so well, and they kept very much to the original material. I think that's the challenge with DC. They just veered so much from the original material, and then I think they just pick story writers and directors who don't know anything about comics at all. They just They
Did you see
just
the
create the
Joker?
stories as they go on.
Is it the Joker or just Joker? I think it's just called Joker.
Joker.
Yeah. Did you see?
I started seeing it. It looks like a good movie, but I couldn't just stand seeing it to the end. I stopped at some point.
So my thing about the film is that it's like technically sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lighting is great, the cinematography is great, the story is okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
tight, but it's just I can't say what is wrong about that film, but it's just wrong.
I think the thing that's wrong is just the fact that they're cashing in on comic stories to make mainstream movies. They're just cashing, like, they know it's a Joker, right?
Yeah.
So the fan base will say it.
But now I'm confused. So does that mean like the Joker in Suicide Squad is gonna be like a different Joker from like?
Well, that's the thing with the DC cinematic universe. Every story stands alone. It's not like Marvel, how everything ties in together.
Even to the TV shows too.
But the TV shows are always very good. Like their TV shows, their animation, they're always like I'm a big fan of the Flash, and I was watching which one is it now? The most recent crossover, and it's it's really looks good. I haven't seen it to the end, but it looks good.
Okay.
It's Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Why the two people?
Yes,
Yeah?
and the interesting thing is they got the cinematic universe Flash
To come to
yes,
the
they
TV
had
world.
they had
Oh.
him in his full costume, which is the first time they made a link between TV and cinema. So
Okay. There's hope.
there's hope.
So, this style, how did this style develop? Because it didn't start like this,
No,
right?
it didn't start like this. I really like realism. Because I always strive to want to create what's real, and I think because of my comic background, I always wanted to draw biceps and all that kind of stuff, to the best that I could, and then I just came across graffiti during the hip hop era, and for me, the splash of colors and all that beauty, I just wanted to go in that direction. And but I was sort of like torn in between because I didn't want to lose
that, yeah.
my love for realism and realistic expression. So at some point I tried out a lot of things, but I was able to find like a midpoint over the years where realism meets that fun graffiti style art.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, actually, we were just talking about realism now. I've been seeing on Instagram and Facebook, there are people that draw on pencil and it looks like a photograph. Like,
yes.
is that really real or just...
It is.
How did they do that?
It's just being able to, I mean, it's hard to explain, right? But it's just being able to replicate what you see.
But like, I mean, there's this guy, he's Nigerian too, this
Yes.
guy. I can't remember his name.
Yes,
but,
I know the guy.
and there's a kid too. Do you know, there's a
Yes.
kid.
Yeah.
And like, so that means by the time that kid is that other guy's age, that
Yes.
kid is gonna be, I don't know, like he'll draw the thing on the picture. Like, I saw this picture and it's real.
Very real. Yes.
And he's with pencil.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes. I used to do that kind of art at some
Like
point.
it must be difficult. Like, is it each tiny like
It depends on how you want to, like, if you were like, for me, I used to do biro art.
That's worse.
Like pen art.
Yeah,
Yes, pen art.
because with pencils you can still erase it.
Yes.
But like with pen,
I really love drawing with pens because you get to see the results really fast, right? Because the impressions are stronger than the pencil. Pencil takes time to build up, but if you're like me and you want to like really, I'm a bit impatient. So yes, the only time I can settle down to do anything is when I'm drawing.
Okay.
Like since I was little, I'm impatient and I'm always ready to go. So I try to use mediums that gets the art out faster. And when I use the pen,
but like, isn't it easier to make mistakes with those ones though? And like, you can't fix it.
yeah, but that's art, Sometimes mistakes are the learning curve, and from mistakes creates the style.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's like so much stuff in art where in a bit to conceal a mistake, you create a style, you create something new. And sometimes it's exciting to take the chance, to walk on the wild side, and draw in a medium where you can afford to make mistakes. It keeps your blood pumping.
So let's talk about this guy.
Yeah.
I remember, I saw it and I'm thinking, this looks like the banks in the street in Barrington Street, right? So when you draw do you start with pencil?
Yes,
or?
I start with pencils.
So you kind of shape walk me through it.
Well,
we have a white canvas here.
and
What
that's
happens?
the exciting part.
Oh my God,
I just
that's
love
scary.
to see. Since I was little, I like to just see blank, a blank piece of paper. It just makes you think of possibilities and endless possibilities.
Yeah.
Well, I think because of my training in architecture influences the way I also want to do things, because architecture is a very definitive art form. So I don't just go ahead and slap dash. I've done it a couple of times, but I don't do it so often. Just splash colors away. I take my time to draw in pencil or in pen, the actual layout, and then I start to put the colors in, and then I try to work with light and shade. Take like from this one, you see the light sources coming from this side, and the dark, it comes this way and then makes the side darker.
Yeah.
And then I start adding colors, and then I try to replicate the same feel, but with a totally different color scheme.
And how do you even so I understand this is a light side and kind of the shadow is there, but how do you decide with the colors what goes where though?
Well, that's the interesting part for me. For me too, it's like a journey for me too. It's like a journey of discovery for me. I don't think about it from the start. I just go on. I just go with the flow. As whichever color just jumps out at me, I put on it, and then I go from there. And then as I go on, I start to match the colors up, to see which color contrasts well with which color.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to ask you a question, like kind of last question before we look at your other pieces that you brought into the studio today. I guess my last question to be kind of like advice. So it would be, if someone wanted to go from taking something in their head and putting it on a canvas, what are the things they should think of before they start working on the canvas?
Well, would I be one to give advice?
Yeah, so
I can't really advise, but I'll just go with the way I do my own art is, like I said earlier, my training has sort of influenced the way I want to produce my art. So I try to make my art. I try to create a definition for my art rather than just jump out, just paint whatever is in my head. I try to trying to find the right words. I try to make it very definitive, like because I'm trying to find the right words because I'm not very, very good at giving advice, but it would be more like I won't just start off painting something from my head like that. I'll try to have it as detailed as possible. I think that's what I'm trying to find. I try to make sure it's as detailed as possible, as close to the subject matter as possible, and and then I go from there, because I also admire the early masters, the likes of Picasso and the rest who
much work.
and Leonardo da Vinci, people who take pride in drawing to proportion and to details and things like that. So, I want to go in that that line rather than just do something that's not realistic
True.
or not detailed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just get this out of the way and then we'll come back to talk about the other ones.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Right.
So walk me through this lady, right? Lady.
Yes, it is. Well, I with this one I just wanted to express the typical kind of faces that aren't always seen in the in mainstream art. I was trying to give representation to a form of beauty that's hardly expressed. So I picked facial features that aren't seen, and I tried to just pop it out, and
How many? So there's like so many colors here. How
Yeah.
long did this one take to make?
maybe like 36 hours. Yeah. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
But it's not oil, it's acrylic.
No, it's
right?
acrylic. It's acrylic. With lots of texture. Texture.
The paint
Paints.
is actually kind of coming out of the
Yes,
canvas.
yes. I used some acrylic texture to give it body and to give it weight. The interesting thing about painting faces is, there's so many variations to the human face. It's just very funny that we have the same number of eyes, nose, and mouth, but it always comes out different. It's
Yeah.
always interesting to see what the next face will be. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Let's see the next one. So this lady, what? She's like going to the market or coming from the stream or which? Really, she has a basket on her head, right?
Well, actually, it's a calabash. It's yes.
So it's water.
This one is called Fulani milkmaid.
Oh.
It's from the Fulani people
Yeah.
of West Africa. They always carry this huge calabash and they sell like yogurt in it. Yeah. So she's carrying one of those. But I put my wife's face in there.
Oh.
And yeah, that's pretty
She's
much
not
it.
Fulani though.
No, but she kind of looks Fulani,
Oh,
and she
okay.
lived in that part of the country for a long time. So yeah,
She speaks Hausa.
yeah, she speaks Hausa.
When I was in high school, I had to learn Hausa, and it wasn't fun.
Really?
Yeah,
I think it's a very musical language.
it
It's-
is.
Yes,
it is. But Yoruba is easier to learn.
Oh yes, Yoruba is really easy.
Yoruba is easier to learn.
I'm really fascinated about the Fulani people, and the fact that they are nomadic people, and they maintain their natural way of life. And then they still uphold their old values and their kind of food and that sort of thing.
Wow.
So this is just like a painting representing the Fulani, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, initially I thought like the whole canvas was red, but you just put the reds around it.
Exactly. Like there's always like several layers. It's kind of it's good you pick that out because it's also the graffiti thing. Like it's the influence from the graffiti. It's just crazy that I have traditional African art in graffiti form. Most times you see street art, graffiti art, there's like several layers. Someone comes, paints, and someone peels it off and paints over it, and that's kind of like what I'm doing here. I did there are like several layers of paint before the final finishing red, and it sort of throws out the red. If you had painted red directly on a white canvas, it won't come out jumping like
it looks
it.
like
And then
pink and stuff.
and there are like several shades of the red, even in its final form. You have vermilion, and then you have
God, you're one of those people. For me,
you
you're an
have
artist, obviously.
crimson.
Oh, God!
And then, that kind of thing.
I'm like, it's red.
Well-
I remember, like, oh God, there's Charisse, there's maroon.
Yes.
It's red.
Yeah, yes. It's more interesting when it comes to
No, I'm hearing
the
new one,
browns.
Vermilion.
Okay,
I'll use that one. That's an episode title.
When you're
So-
painting the browns, you find umber, burnt umber, and that kind of thing, and sienna.
No. So, well, like, the colors make them pop, but do they also have meanings?
The colors for me are just like apart from the fact that it's all the graffiti style, but it also reminds me of where I'm from. I grew up in a tropical climate, and I always tend to want to use very bright, vivacious colors. I don't attach a meaning to any of the colors, but it's just somewhere in my head. I just want to use fresh, interesting colors that raise your spirits.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's check out the last one.
Okay.
What is the story here?
This lady, that's Lady Badu.
Yeah?
Yeah, Erica Badu. I like her music, and I like soul music.
Yeah.
And they led the neo soul movement, she and D'Angelo, and and I still want to paint D'Angelo and all of them in that era of sound.
Yeah.
And I started with Badu because I also have a thing for hair. The way she carries her hair, she's her natural hair is always really interesting, and I just wanted to represent that in art. And then her eyes and all that.
Yeah, so I'm guessing for this image you had a photo somewhere.
Yeah, lots of reference photos.
How does that work when you look at different photos rather than one photo?
Well, I think with photos it's with photos you want to get the essence of the person.
Yeah.
You really want the essence of the person. So you just don't want to take one photo. You want to be able to see the person through different photos. Because I haven't met Erica Badu before, so I can't tell her true disposition. But you want to see lots of photos and relate with them. You want to take for this one I took her hair and her eyes from one photo, and then her general look from a photo. And I think with each I took each photo that represents her the best, and then put them all together, and then I did this, and then I added a little bit of what I think she should look like into it.
Okay, so I have a question now. If you can't teach someone to do this though?
Yeah, sure, I can.
That's not true.
I can. I'm always willing. I'm always willing to.
So
to,
if
to
I
talk
say
and learn,
so, if I
teach
drop
her.
a white canvas here and I'm saying, okay, yeah, let's recreate this photo or this painting. What do we do?
Well, first off, you can't recreate the space because I can't recreate all these strokes and they're all unique, but I can get the form. And I think the first thing is to be able to, for me, is to be able to draw something that's really detailed before putting on the colors, because you need to have the foundation right before you start dabbing stuff, or building on it. So if I was going to advise, is to get the form out right and correct, and then the chaos begins.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much, Boma, for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm super
really
grateful you
enjoyed
came on the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's great being here.
This is the Blackout Podcast. Thanks for listening.